And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the WardiTV Monday number 3. I'm, of course, your ZvP, and with me, I'm joined by these amazing players, the people in the chat, and by my beautiful plushies as well. Welcome. It has been a week. It's been a week since our last WardiTV. It's been, what, 7 hours since our last cast? Hasn't been too long at all, around 8 hours or so since our last cast, but we are here, we are back, our second broadcast of the day, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Site Delta, we have our Canadian Protoss player, the Blue Protoss. Representing Basilisk, it is Trigger. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Vitality. It is Solar. Alas, I do apologize for the quality of the sound for the fanfare, and I do apologize for not actually showing any names in game as well. The application that we use for the intros is currently not working, so a bit of a feels bad, man. Does mean that actually I think this is the first time I'm going to be casting without casting tool in years. I think ever. Yeah, so I do apologize for that. I do apologize. Basically, whenever the application isn't working, I usually restart my PC before we go live, but I wasn't able to this time. I wasn't able to today, so I was running a little bit late. So yeah, for the first time in a long time, unfortunately, no setup there, no casting tool. Smoge, baby, smoge. But regardless, we should still be able to at least conduct some predictions. Should be able to. There we go. Okay, there we go. If you're in the chat, predictions should now be open. Place your bets on how you think the series will unfold. Best of luck. Best of luck in the chat. But now that we're going to be settling in, this is going to be a standard opener. It's going to be a gate expand into Cybercore, standard opener out of Trigger. Likewise, a solo going hatch gas pool as well. So far, everything's looking as it should. Again, we were able to feature Trigger last night. He was competing in the Sparkling Tuna Cup, and now he is here 2 days in a row with the WardiTV Monday. Here we go. Now, for those that are curious, Trigger is residing in the land of South Korea. He's been in Korea for a couple of months at this point, and I do believe he plans on sticking around, and he plans on staying in Korea for as long as he can. And because of that, he's able to compete in these tournaments, in events like Sparkling Tuna Cup, the WardiTV Mondays, in a lot of these online events. So it's great to see that Trigger has been, of course, making use of staying in Korea, been very active on the ladder, been very active on the online tournament scene, and we'll see how it can compare to Solar. It wasn't too long ago, it was last week where Trigger did defeat Shin in the Orsasaurus Cup. Can he bring down Solar though? Solar is a bit of a level up. I mean, to be fair, Solar has been on a bit of a break. Solar has been on a bit of a vacation post EWC. He's been enjoying his time free from Protoss. He did post that lovely image of Solar on a beachside, being like, life without Protoss. Zen, baby, zen. It's beautiful, beautiful. But now, Solar's back, and now Protoss. Oh no. Void Ray opener back at home, so it's going to be a Void Ray start for Trigger. With this, Trigger is going to be able to hunt down the Overlords and keep Solar in the dark as to what's going on. And the question becomes, what does Trigger go for in the aftermath? This can be Void Ray into a Fleet Beacon, into Tempest, could be into second Stargate, could be into a fast Twilight Council into Glaives, or it could be into a third base, into a Forge and Twilight Council, into a standard game. The benefit here for Trigger is the kind of ambiguity that he surrounds himself in, is the fact that Solar is in the dark. The Overlord is hunted down. Now, what I do mostly appreciate of this Void Ray opener is how the series plays out. If Trigger goes for a Void Ray opener every single game, and every game does something different, or just only does something different in game 2 or game 3, it's just a great way to kind of make use of the opener, make use of the series, and play some mind games with your opponent. As the Void Ray does hit the third, slipping to the mineral line, will be able to threaten the mineral line and does force that an EVA chamber. Does force out the EVA chamber, Oracle into the natural. So far, Solar is keeping up. Oh, it's going to be one drone kill so far, just the one. And behind this, it's going to be a Twilight Council and a delayed Forge for Trigger. Interesting. Third base still in the way. This is going to be a later Twilight Council. Okay, there we go. Forge now in production. This should be +1 in either Blink or Charge. looks like a standard follow-up here for Trigger. I'm leaning towards charge, but we'll see. Oh. Ooh, that's a nice kill on the shield battery. Nice pick up here out of Solar. Likewise, double Oracle hitting the natural. We'll get another drone kill, but just the one worker so far. Oracle does take a lot of hull damage. Behind this, it is going to be Pulse on and Blink, so standard follow-up here at the Trigger, going for a handful of gateways, establishing his third, and everything's looking as it should. Everything's looking quite standard here from Trigger. This is where I also look forward to game number 2 for another Void Ray opener to see if he commits to a standard game again, or does something different. Meanwhile, Solo going for his Roach Warren. Oracles, they commit. Ooh, they get 3 drone kills. One of the Oracles does finally go down. It's going to be 5 drones for an Oracle. Not the best trade for Trigger. Considering I believe Trigger only made 2 Oracles as well. Yeah, just the 1 Oracle remaining for Trigger. Interesting. Trigger behind this, not going into Colossus production, not a Robo, but instead going to be a Templar Archives. So Trigger initially going +1 Blink Stalkers into Charged Archon Storm. Storm going to be his splash damage of choice. Meanwhile, Solar still droning up. Again, playing it safe with the Roach Warren, +1 melees on the way. Lair about to finish, and with this lair, we should be working towards Hydras and Lurkers. Hydra Lurker should be on the horizon here for Solar. Oracle gets denied. Roach speed is being researched here. Okay, so Solar playing it safe. Going into Roaches. Outside of that, Solo being relatively passive, dipping in with some links for the most part. Trigger is keeping up for the most part. There we go. Is on hold position. Uh-oh. And I assumed Solo would be droning, but alas, he's getting up to 71 workers, and that is Overlord speed on the way. Oh. Solar is going to be more aggressive here. He's building up Roach Ravager, more Lings, more Overlords on the way. Soon to be Mass Dropalord. Solar is going to be committing. Yeah, speaking of, they're the Dropalords. They're now on the way. Again, Overlord speed was the sign of aggression. Solar's going to be cutting workers here at 70. That is just over 3 base saturation. And he's going to be maxing out and committing here with a quite committed push. Ravagers, Roaches, Lings, Queens. It's all coming together. There we go. The Dropalord is moving out. And it's going to be on Trigger to survive this. Now, Trigger is setting up a wall of cannons at the 4th base. But what about the 3rd? 3rd, only 2 cannons, 1 shield battery, 1 overcharge. Storm is done. The Lings are spotted. And Solar does hit the 4th. But the cannons need a little bit more time. Another shield battery is denied. Stalkers rotating over. Queens have been dropped in. And that is a bit of an Autosis pylon. Yeah, the pylon goes down. Backup pylon behind this. Let's go. Overcharge stands strong. Here come the storms. Oh, not quite yet. Yeah, the High Templar, they need a little bit more time. And oh, Solar, he's going to be able to fend this back. I will try to use a VPN after this. I got you. But so far, the side defense is going to be depowered. Solar pushing in. Last with the stasis trap, though. It looks like Trigger is going to be able to hold on. And Trigger, he is holding just barely. The final cannon does fall. The Queens have been holding their own. Boys being pulled. Actually, backup cannon still standing strong. Trigger cleaning up the Lings, getting on top of the Ravagers. He's almost there. Casito. So close. Yeah, Solar, he's now forced to back up. Trigger trading well. Forces back the army. Does bleed off 9 workers, but still has a worker lead. Trigger does have the advantage. Shuts down the Queens. Gets 1, gets 2. Queens do fall. Trigger overextending for a moment here. Has to be careful on creep. Yeah, Lings are coming for us. Surround the Immortals are exposed. No! He gets 1. Solar picks up 1 Immortal, gets a 2nd Immortal as well. Massive overextension from Trigger. Ay. Yeah, bleeding off his high-tech units. Again, he defended well here back at home, but losing 2 Immortals was brutal. And the scary thing here is that Solar is not droning. Solar, he has not made a worker in a couple of minutes at this point. At 69 workers, nice. Now with the Bailey Nest, Bailey Speed's on the way, and Solar, he's remaxing and he's coming in for the second wave, for the second round. And Trigger, he's going to be down to Immortals. He's down to Immortals, does have some High Templar banking up energy. They still need more time. And here comes the army. Here comes that second wave. And once again, the High Templar, they're not ready. Trigger needs a couple more seconds. Boy's being pulled away. Bailey's crashing into the shield batteries. One High Templar goes down. A second High Templar as well. The storm's finally coming in. But they were forced to go up on the Ling Bane. And not the best trades from Trigger. Fourth base is under fire. But it looks like with the reinforcements, Trigger, he should be able to shut this down with the base. Nexus falls. Nexus goes down. Solar, he got what he wanted. Barely did get the expansion. Even catching another Immortal. And now the ball's really rolling for Solar. Now he can just do that again. He can back off, remax, rebuild, come in for the third wave. This time the fourth base was broken. Trigger is stuck on a 3-base economy. It's going to get harder and harder here on forward for Trigger. If he had saved his fourth, I mean, he would be in a much better position, but now Trigger's up against the wall. Solar pushing in once again. There are 3 storms available. All 3 storms to get used. Bailings, they shut down the cannons and shield batteries. Not enough Lings left over. Some more Ling Bane trickling in. Trigger, he's holding on. Up. And nice Lings shutting down some of those Ravagers. Another storm coming in clutch. But barely not enough storms. Barely not. Another Immortal, the Archons do fall as well. Yeah, again, Trigger, he was so close to holding against this. So close to making a defense out of this, but alas, is double expanding, rebuilding his bases. Solar, he's going to be denied here at the 4th base. I believe Solar, he hasn't scattered. He hasn't seen the 5th. Oh. Okay. If Trigger can buy a little bit more time, he can make use of that 5th base. It's going to be okay. Until that happens, things that hit the mineral line. Bailey's rolling in once again. And going for the sack defense. Solar still just has barely enough. Gets the Archon, zones away the Stalkers, takes down the cannon. And as the Lings deal with the Stalkers, the mineral line is exposed. And 17 probes going down. The 3rd base has been broken. So Trigger doing what he can, again trying to hold his own, but he lost all of his Stalkers. He's down to 2 Stalkers left. I mean, it's barely an army. Immortal goes down. And Solar has done it. From here, he can rotate towards the 4th, towards the 5th base. I mean, he's still not aware of it. It is keeping Trigger in this game. And again, Trigger, he knows how close he was to holding. He knows that. Holding the 4th, I mean, earlier. Slowly just rotates, heads towards the 4th. And there's just not much here to defend. There's a handful of Stalkers, mineral line is exposed. And the overcharge is depowered. That's another base falling. 22 workers, the expansion. Trigger pulling back the miles. Oh, they take down the Void Ray. There's a Zealot counterattack going on at the same time, but alas, there's just not enough to work with. And GG gets called. Solar will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. A very close game, to be honest. A lot of it did come down to the defense at the 4th, as we did mention before. Did come down to that. And a lot of it, I want to say, kind of came down to the fact that, Trigger, he lost 2 Immortals a little bit prematurely before the big fight had occurred. He did overextend, was caught out in the open. Likewise, because of that, just wasn't able to buy enough time for his high Templar to gather energy. It was just very close defense. Regardless, GG, well played. Solar takes a lead, and now we're jumping into game number 2. Jumping into that second game. Also, a shout out to Slammer. Gaha, Bobby Gaha. Thank you so much to Slammer for rating. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the WardiTV Monday number 3. Oh, we are mid-series here, jumping to game 2. Solar has a lead. We'll see if he can hold on to it. Here we go. Go. So getting into game number 2. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Basilisk. It is Trigger. It doesn't sound good. In the bottom right-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the red Zerg. It is Solar. But again, unfortunately today, no trumpets. No trumpets. No intros either. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. Feels incomplete. I don't think I've ever casted without it, to be honest. I think the first time in like, what, 5 years? First time in 5 years casting without the intro. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But again, I do apologize. For those that are curious, the application that we use for the intros isn't working. Usually whenever that happens, I just restart the PC before the stream, and then then it works. But I was running a little bit late today, so we had already gone live, and I didn't have the time to restart the PC. So smooch. Feels bad, man. So because of that, there won't be scores out of game. And I'll have to, work a little bit harder for things like predictions and stuff like that. I have to manually set up predictions and manually set up the stream title. But it's all good. It's all good. For now, we're settling into game 2. We are settling in. And again, Trigger did not look too bad at all in that last game. Was weathering the storm for the most part. Again, a lot of it did come down to that second attack at the 4th base. And once the 4th was broken, that was kind of game then and there. That was what Solo was looking for, and what Trigger was trying to deny. Now we're settling into game 2. Now, what I mentioned before still applies here. I do like the idea of Trigger once again going for a Stargate opener into Void Ray, and this time going for something a little bit cheekier, making it look like the same build, but really doing something far different, far more devious, if you will. Like Glaive Adept follow-up, DTs. So we'll see if he does embrace that Void Ray for a second time. It's what I'm hoping for, but we'll see. Where it does fall. Grind just doesn't stop for live VIP. Never. I think the only days we take off in the year are during the Christmas break. Like a couple of weeks, maybe like the final week of the year, and then like the first week of next year, sort of like period of time. It's usually our only break from casting. Oh, as this time it is going to be an Oracle first from Trigger. Okay. Here's something more standard. Link Scout does confirm. Solo, he's aware of the Stargate, he's aware of the Oracle. Adepts say shade into the main base. Lings are in position, and they will lock down one of the Adepts. The Adepts goes down. Trigger has to pull back. From here, Solar, he's gained map control. Upon killing one of the Adepts, it also forces Trigger to stay back at home. It means his third base is going to be vulnerable. As we can see, Solar didn't make extra lings, just has his initial 6, but that is still going to be enough that will delay the expansion. Going for the probe. Oh, we'll get it. Probe goes down. Nice delay. All across the map. Trigger does dip in between the bases. Second Oracle's moving out. Third base now has been thrown down. And it is going to be a triple Oracle into a third, into a Twilight Council, and Forge. We're calming things down. Oh! Hello. Solar accidentally pinging. Do love to see it. What I will say as well is that Oceanborn is known for all-ins. We've seen many of Roach Queen based all-in on Oceanborn, and Solar, as we saw in the last game, is not opposed to embracing that. Keep an eye on him. Oracles, they get into the natural. They get, well, not bad, 6 drone kills. 6 workers go down. The Oracles get away. Meanwhile, Oracle into the main base as well. Gets another 4 kills. Oh my god. Not bad. Not bad at all. Getting another couple of drones. Trigger a lot more successful this time. Get 11 worker kills in total. Behind this is third base is safe and sound. Twilight Council's on the way. There's that Forge, +1 and Blink, as I did mention. Extended follow-up. Now, because Solar's lost so many workers already, he might just be forced to drone up to 66, get a 4th base just for lava, and just go for a 3 base all in. That would make sense here given the game state for Solar. But we'll see how many more drones go down. You'd say shade into the natural, more workers falling. Solar getting pulled apart. We'll shut down these Adepts, finally. Meanwhile, it's going to be the same build for Trigger. I mean, I say same build. The same kind of end goal here for Trigger. Working towards Storm, working towards High Templar. Things moving out. 4th base has been taken. Solar is droning up to 3 base saturation. Ooh, okay, he's not going for Roaches. I mean, he is, but he's going for the Spire. Okay, cheeky move here out of Solar. Going into Mutas. If this goes unscouted, I mean, this could end the game. Before that does occur, Trigger applying some pressure. It's the 3rd. Setting up stasis traps behind this. The Spire is halfway done. And I am concerned. I mean, the Oracles aren't harassing anymore. Now they're kind of being a more supportive unit with the main army. Which means this might just go unscouted. No. Triggered nice service here. Had some lings. Yeah, Spire is about to finish. Back at home, Trigger, he's not quite ready for this. Natural and the main base are exposed. Now, Trigger will have at least Blink Stalker, so he can react, he can respond. But there's a lot of potential for Solar to get economic damage done. As he's going to be forced to recall. Trigger recalls back home. Solar getting +1 air attack. Has still not made any mutas. And no mutas on the way. Legs hit the natural. Main army towards the 4th. Keeping Trigger busy. And Trigger is hitting safety cannons. Okay. Safety cannons in the main and the natural. 12 mutas in production. They're only cannons though, no shield batteries. Oh, and Force the Storm, these are brutal losses. Yeah, 3 High Templar go down. A bit of a rough movement there from Trigger. That was 1 High Templar and an Archon was forced to be morphed in. That means that many less storms available for Trigger. That was a bit of a waste. I mean, he had to. As the Roaches did get on top of him, mutas are revealed. And they're headed for the natural. And again, we have stack defense. There's a cannon, there's a shield battery, there's a warp in. Trigger, he holds. He is keeping up. Meanwhile, Solar, he's doubling down. He's still making more Muta. Getting up to how many? 17 Mutas. Soon to be 22. Plus one air attack is almost done. Solar diving into the main. Sorry, into the natural. Will shut down the cannon. Overcharged too little too late. Cannon goes down. Shield battery as well. Main army has to respond at the same time. Solar pushing in. Storms do connect on the roaches. Not bad. Roaches are softened up. Using the main. Getting 13 probe kills. 13 workers go down. Forcing out a Phoenix. Trigger trying to collapse on this. Again, having a hard time keeping up. And Solar, he's reinforcing here with Lings with still more Mutas. Jeez. Solar, he's committed. Forces out an Archon. Oh, not bad. Oh my god, the Mutas, calm down. Yeah, they take a lot of hits. A lot of Mutas do fall. That was what? 9 Mutas. 10 Mutas go down. Last, we have a second flock here in between the bases. Solar does force another Archon. There's 2 High Templar left, 2 Storms. And Trigger, if he ever does move out across the map, Solar just doesn't really have much to defend. His army is mainly Muta. It's Muta-ling. A handful of Storms is all Trigger would need. For now, though, he's still building up. Solar's maxed out. So it's the natural. Trigger's in position. Likewise, Lings are deflected. Trigger, he's defending well. But it's still on a knife's edge. And Solar coming in for this round. He does force out the Storms. And he gets the High Templar, the Archon, and the Immortals. Another High Templar gets targeted. And Solar being so sure to snipe every High Templar whenever he can. Storms would ruin him. And I believe there is there's 0 High Templar left. Oof. But 0 High Templar remaining here for Trigger. Just now warping 1 in. On top of that, without any High Templar, I don't know if Trigger has any, like, counterattack potential. If he was able to build up, I want to say, like, 4, maybe 5 High Templar with 1 Storm each, then he can push. And he's catching up some Stalkers. They create an opening, head for the natural. Shield battery's going down, cannon as well. Lings ahead into the main. These do take a lot of damage. Do have it overcharged in the main base. Trigger, he's holding. Doesn't actually lose too much. Here to say, catch the Phoenix. Trigger back up to 3 High Templar. Up to 7. They're morphing in. And they are gathering up a lot of energy. Trigger, he is getting ready. If Solar doesn't reset the High Templar count once again, then he's going to be in trouble. Does he have Baneling Speed? He does. Baneling Speed is done. Baneling seems to be rolling in. Ling Muta does hit the natural waste at the same time. Banelings, they're going for the mineral lines. They're going for the 4th, and they will get in. Oof. And the mineral line is annihilated. Trigger's economy gets crippled. And does he counterattack? So Trigger has he's still making more Immortals. I'm a little bit concerned with the Immortal counts. Like, Archons and Stalkers are more of what we need. Now this Trigger's still stuck defending. High Templar. Oh! Forced out a Storm. Templar do survive. Okay. And here we go. This is the moment. Trigger finally feeling confident enough. He has an army. He's pushing. Now as he moves out. Oh, the Mutas I kept up with. Oh, 2 High Templar do fall. But the Muses take a lot of damage. The Archon shots. Oh no! The Archon gets so much done. GG gets called, and Trigger, he survives the meter aggression, and we are going to the ace match. GG. Whew. Let's go. GG, well played. We are going to game number 3. Again, Trigger, he was able to keep up. Even though he didn't scout the Spire, he did have safety cannons in his mineral lines. I'm pretty sure they were thrown down just in case we had Ling run-bys. Alas, the Mutas, they didn't really get much done. They got, I want to say, was it 13 probes? They got 13 workers, but for the most part, Trigger was able to keep up and able to build up a mass amount of Archons and, of course, Storm towards the end as well. Did just snowball out of control. And as we saw, Solar, he was on a bit of a timer there. He, in a sense, a bit of a timer. The Ling Muta needed to trade better. He needed to get more mineral lines, needed to pick off more high-tech units. He needed to snowball out of control, and he wasn't quite able to. Wasn't able to deal that critical damage that he was hoping. Solar did get a mineral line at the end with the Banelings, but we needed that so much sooner, so much earlier. Not good enough. Now we're going to game 3. Let's go. Let us go. Here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Ghost River, we have the Canadian Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, tying up the series 1-1 and forcing the ace match. It is Trigger. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the red Zerg player from South Korea, representing Team Vitality. It is Solar. We go. Here we go, as we are going to be settling in. We have Solar going for a hatch gas pull, standard opener, force safety, unnatural, natural, and Trigger hasn't really done anything too crazy so far. Game 1 and Game 2 have been quite similar. I mean, the openers were different. If you remember, in Game 1, Trigger did open up Void Ray. Game 2, Trigger opened up Triple Oracle. Something that we should also emphasize as well is that Trigger did have a much cleaner and much stronger early game in Game 2. If you remember, he was able to kill so many drones with his Oracle Harass, with his Adept Harass. He killed up to 16 workers. It was impressive. Very impressive early game from Trigger, which allowed him to settle into 3-4 bases quite nicely on Oceanborn, weather the storm in more ways than one. Did quite well. It's going to be on Solar to tighten up. We shall see. Now, no intros. Now I don't know who's who. True, true. How do we know, Papi? How do we know? Not gonna lie, I feel empty. Like, zooming in and not having the fanfare, it's like, what am I? Like an ESL stream? Like, it's, it's soulless, Papi. It's incomplete. Shaking my head. Feels bad, man. And oh my god, we do see Trigger is mixing it up. Okay, it's going to be a Gate Expand into Cybercore into a Twilight Council opener. Now, this could be a couple of different things. This could be into Glaive Adepts. This could be into a Dark Shrine, into DTs. It could be a combination of the two. A lot of it will depend on whether or not Trigger does pull out of gas. We'll see what Trigger does commit into, as he is staying in. Okay, I'm leaning more towards a Dark Shrine then. As we have 3 and 3. 6 gases. Or 6 workers mining gas. You do not need this much gas if you're going into Glaive Adepts, unless you go for a 2-base all-in. I'm referring to up to 6 gateways. And Trigger does pull out. Link comes in for a fresh scout. A nice moment for Solar. And Solar sees everything. He gets eyes on the entirety of the main base, gets eyes on the researching Twilight Council. Trigger's pulling back in. Kind of. I'm getting mixed signals here. Okay, Trigger does pull back in, which means this could be 6k Glaive Adepts. Right now it's 4. Or it could be Glaive Adepts and Dark Templar. Like, again, you usually don't need this much gas unless you're investing into something greater here. And I'm imagining that's going to be a Dark Shrine. But we'll see. We'll see if it is going to be the Dark Shrine. For now, back at home, Solar throws down a safety Roach Warren. Again, he knows he needs it. He's aware of the Glaive Adepts. He's setting up. And Solar ideally would be still getting safety Spore Crawlers, because for all he knows, it is still going to be something like a DT follow-up. Oh, that is an early Immortal. Okay, I mean, now we see what the gas is being spent on. Immortal's already on the way. Trigger's moving out. Does warp in extra adepts. Does threaten a shade, but again, Solar is ready for this. And behind this, it looks like a 2-base all-in follow-up. So now we know what the gas was being spent on. More Immortals on the way. He's got 1, soon to be 2. Trigger backs off. Now, this is really risky for Trigger just because I would imagine the goal here, the hope for Trigger, is that Solar drones. Is that Solar over drones. Solar feels like he's defended, he feels like he's survived, and then he takes another expansion, takes gases, drones up, and then gets caught with his pants down. That's at least the hope. And Trigger, yeah, 3 more gateways, 2-base all-in. Just straight up 2-base all-in from Trigger. Oh boy. Solar is droning somewhat at least, but not too heavily. Like, Solar is throwing down a couple of workers here and there. Does saturate his 3rd base mineral line. No extra gases. That's because here by Trigger. So this will come down to the execution. The Immortals have arrived. But there's just so much Ling Ravager. Yeah, Solar is going to shut this down. Files, they don't quite connect, but the Lings are going to surround. Adepts do fall. The Immortals are exposed. And we can't lose the Immortals. Oh my god. Trigger will save them, but he's going to lose everything else. And again, Trigger, this was a big gamble for the Protoss. Did not pay off in the end. As the Adepts are being shut down, the Immortals, I mean, nice juggling here out of Trigger. But he's forced all the way back home. And Solar can keep going. He can keep pushing. Shuts down the army, cuts workers at 44. Massing out more Lings. And again, Trigger, he's trading as best he can with these Immortals, getting so much value out of them. And Trigger, he might be able to barely hold on. No, never mind. Adepts go down, Zelts as well. There's no shield battery, there's no overcharge. Yeah, the natural is exposed. And Solar does depower that wall. Oof. Even though piles do connect. Again, it was a cheeky build here out of Trigger, but a lot of it was relying on Solar being overconfident. It was relying on overconfidence from Solar, on greed as well. Hoping the Solar would overdrone. And at the end, the Trigger, he backs off, he builds up. I mean, he does have a high Immortal count. He's up to 4 Immortals. But now Solar, he can afford a 4th. He can throw down another expansion just for Larva. Take extra gases. He's already on 4. Join up to 50. Oh, and it looks like Trigger is setting up for an expansion. It's a bold move, Trigger. It's bold, Pappy, bold. He's up to how many? 5 Immortals? I mean, the Immortal count is high, don't get me wrong. It's just the support that's not quite there. I mean, Trigger, he's working with slow lots. Yeah. When I mean lack of support, that's what I'm referring to. We got the slow lots, Pappy. Let's go. Couple more Adepts coming to reinforce. Solar, he's going to be able to engage, shut this down, reinforce with more Lings, getting on top of the Immortals. I mean, Trigger, he can juggle, he can macro well, but there's only so much he can fit into one Prism. Yeah, getting knocked down to 3 Immortals. And from this point forward, Solar, he can just chase this down and push towards the natural. He can just send it. Trigger down to 2 Immortals. Up to 3. Solar from here can chase this down. And GG gets called. There's just not enough left over. Solar will take the series 2-1 and advance on to the next round. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Solar as he does claim the series. My condolences to Trigger. Again, I do think that Trigger had a very strong showing in Game 1 and Game 2. I do believe that Trigger could have even taken Game 1 as well. Game 1 was very close. Here in Game 3, it was more one-sided in the end. It was Trigger going for a 2-base all-in, and Solar playing very safely, playing very carefully against Trigger. Didn't overextend, didn't overcommit, didn't overdrone, wasn't too greedy, played it safe and sound, and with that, Solar was able to take it in the end. GG, congratulations. Solar does take it, and we're going to be following Solar into his next series. Let's go. We're going to be heading over to the Americas region. That means I have to turn off my VPN.